the window above him. It was St. Peter himself. "What on earth do you think you're doing, yanking on the bell pull like that?" he asked. "And who are you, anyway?" "It is I, Willibald Krautmann, well-known Tyrolean artist, carver of manger scenes." Willibald Krautmann repeated St. Peter. Willibald Krautmann repeated St. Peter, bemused. "What an odd name. Never heard it before. I suppose you're looking for a place to stay." "Well, this is heaven, isn't it?" Willibald threw back at him. "And I've been waiting out here for an hour already. Of course I'd like a place to stay." "Of course. It is not a matter of course at all. Let's see what is written about you in the book." St. Peter disappeared from the window, leaving Willibald open-mouthed. "Well, that was a friendly welcome. They don't even know me up here. They have to look at my name in some stupid registry. The world pays with ingratitude. Everyone knows that, but I wouldn't have thought it was like that in heaven." Now St. Peter was back at the window, thumbing the pages of a large black book. He took his time. "All right, here we are," he said evenly, looking up. "But it says that you cannot enter." "What? I cannot enter? I'd just like to ask you for one good reason." "Of course, just listen. You've been arrogant and vain and proud of your own work. You have considered the art of others worthless in comparison to your own, and you have acted as if no one else was as gifted as you. Mr. Heavenly Gatekeeper, you're making mountains out of molehills. You used to be a fisherman, so I'm not surprised that you just have no idea what an artist feels. And what about all the good I have done? In my lifetime, I have carved more than half a hundred nativity scenes. I have awakened many dull hearts with my artistry and brought much joy into the world. It has even been said that people could take an example from the integrity of my figures." "I'm sure that's all true," said Peter dryly. "But there is more about your arrogance that I can't just scratch out." "Read on then." "I know I'm not the humblest. Everyone has his faults. And I'm not so conceited as to think that I'm an exception. But really, you're making quite a fuss over nothing." "My good Mr. Krautmann, I'm only just getting started. There are other things recorded here. You have been impatient and irritable. When a piece of work wasn't going smoothly, you flared up in such anger." "That was holy anger," Willibald interrupted. "The evil one could not stand my work, and often hid my tools, or knocked over a scene, so that all the figures toppled into the floor, and several broke. And then, why, certainly a righteous indignation would come over me. The things you said were anything but quick prayers. For goodness sake, Mr. Gatekeeper, who thinks about what he says in the heat of the moment? Who can't weigh that sort of thing on a golden scale? You can't weigh that sort of thing on a golden scale. Besides, I never did anything violent in my anger like other people I know. I never struck off anyone's ear." "Oh, so we're trying to start a lawsuit?" asked Peter sharply. "Then you ought to find yourself an advocate." "Just let me in and I'll find one in a hurry." "No one impure can enter. You'll have to find someone on earth to speak on your behalf." "On earth? That's a fine to-do. It's unfortunate, I know, but I really don't know anyone that well there. I was a busy man in my day. I had very little time for other people." "There you have it exactly," agreed St. Peter. "And now I'm going to read you the heaviest debt on your account. In the course of an entire lifetime, you were so self-centered that you are unable to make even one friend through performing a work of mercy, not even one advocate to speak for you in heaven." "Now listen here," Willibald retorted. "I spent my time and my money on the Christmas work I did. No expense is so great as a gift from the heart, especially to someone in need. Of course, but you can't throw away money unless you've got extra, and I always gave something. Always? Last year on Christmas Eve, you turned away a widow and 3 hungry children from your door. Well, that's not hard to explain. I was working overtime on a late order, one that required a new design, and I had an entire nativity scene to regild. Such things cost money, and everything is simply expensive these days. You still had enough left over to go out for a drink on Christmas Eve, and you did more than just quench your thirst. Goodness, that was just a little celebration, a very small one, and that because it was Christmas. Besides, the wines they sell nowadays are so cheap that you only have to drink 1 glass and it goes to your head. What? You drank 2 bottles of the most expensive vintage. You won't get far with lying, Mr. Krautman. That's something I really detest. Dear St. Peter, don't you take ill, begged Willibald. Little white lies like that come over the best people. I once read about someone who lied his way out of a tight spot 3 times in one night, and wept for it the rest of his life, while you cover up and explain away your sins, thundered St. Peter. I've had it. That's the end of my patience. Now get out of here. And he slammed the window shut. For the first time, Willibald realized he was really in a fix, and he decided to try another tack. Trembling, he reached up to knock on the window, and when he found he wasn't tall enough, hung his head and begged and whined like a little boy. St. Peter ignored him. Next he tried the bell pull again, though this time he didn't yank at the rope. He pulled on it gently. Still no response. What should he do now, he wondered. Hopeless and dead tired, he stumbled along the wall, looking for a place to lie down and sleep. He had not gone far when he came to a small window that bathed the ground below in a golden light. Curious, he peered in, and, dear God, what a celebration was going on inside. It was absolutely heavenly. Hundreds of angels were dancing in a sea of light and joy. Ecstatic, Willibald drank in the scene, and as he did, the scales fell from his eyes. He saw that the source of all that light and joy was love, the unending delight of the soul. And to think that he was seeing only a fraction of it all, perhaps only 1,000th part of it. Then a rush of heavenly music rose and swept over him. Voices of at least 1,000,000 angels chanting and singing in praise of God. No one on earth would believe me if I described this, thought Willibald to himself. No one on earth has even imagined such music. Ecstatic, he began to sway with the music. Suddenly his chest tightened. He felt hot and breathless. Grasping at his heart, he panicked. His breast burned with such longing to be part of the heavenly scene in front of him that he was sure he was going to die. He wanted to cry out, but couldn't. He wanted to sing, but his mouth was dry. And so he wept from the depths of his heart. Forgive my sins, he sobbed piteously. Never again will I be hot